10 best films of his time for his genre. Films are a fine art, and like any masterpiece, they are valued, scrutinized, adored, and detested by the numerous individuals who see them. Somebody may watch a film and leave insulted and irate, while another may sob in bliss at what they saw. It's emotional, as most gems. It is generally obvious, however, then there are those movies that are all around adored. In truth, there's consistently somebody who despised Citizen Kane, however there are millions more who cherished it. This rundown separates 10 distinct kinds to feature the best film of every one introduced in no specific request. Comedy Drive. Strangelove, How I Learned to Stop Worrying and Love the Bomb. Comedy is one of the most abstract types out there in light of the fact that what's interesting to certain individuals is either nitwit or hostile to other people. That being stated, a few things are dispassionately amusing, and the subsort that appears to get the most laughs out of a group of people is droll. In any case, droll is regularly the least type of comedy. Comedy would be its inverse, as it will in general tap into a progressively educated idea of what makes something amusing, and there aren't a ton of motion pictures that do this well. The film that shows improvement over some other is Stanley Kubrick's Dr. Strangelove, How I Learned to Stop. The film is as senseless as Monty Python while being as destructive genuine as Patton. Having the option to make atomic war entertaining is no simple assignment, however when you take an entertainer like George C. Scott and advise him to do everything over the top, toss in a terrible circumstance prompting atomic obliteration, and get Peter Sellers to play 3 separate characters, you have parody gold on your hands. Dealer's exhibition alone qualifies Drive. Strangelove is an everlasting parody, and keeping in mind that Monty Python positively merits notice, Kubrick's Strangelove is apparently the best satire at any point made. Drama Citizen Kane, 1941. It was referenced in the introduction, so you knew Citizen Kane will undoubtedly show up someplace on this rundown. Resident Kane was a film that stunned many individuals, yet not for the reasons you may think. Individuals were stunned at how amazingly great the film was, as Orson Welles delivered, co-composed, featured, and had finished edition. The man had never coordinated a film this one came out, so it wasn't an assurance that it would be a hit. That being stated, he was vigorously sought by a co to do anything for the studio, and his agreement specified that he be permitted to coordinate 2 pictures. This previously was seemingly his most prominent realistic accomplishment on various levels. Resident Kane recounts to the narrative of Charles Foster Kane, a rich industrialist who bites the dust with single word all the rage, Rosebud. The film proceeds with an endeavor to figure out what his perishing word implied. Strangely, the film numerous pundits recognize as the best at any point made was a film industry disappointment. It did recuperate its expenses and turned out to be to some degree darker. It made more progress in 1956 after a French audit, which prompted a recovery. Science fiction, E.T. The Extra-Terrestrial, 1982. It doesn't have any of the astounding GG you'll discover in an advanced science fiction film, yet that is the thing that makes E.T. something unique. Like most motion pictures from the mid-80s, producers needed to depend on puppeteering, and it says something regarding how well E.T. was made that seeing him harming in the film's 3rd demonstration can evoke a tear from even the hardest of hearts. The film is one basically everybody has seen in any event once in their life, and a portion of the scenes are so famous, they've figured out how to totally penetrate the zeitgeist in manners hardly any motion pictures would ever want to imitate. A tale about a kid and an outsider who become companions, and undeniably more is a story that by one way or another reverberates, and it's one everybody can appreciate. The experience of riding your bicycle away from the troublemakers is something children and grown-ups can relate to, yet when E.T. suspends them into the sky, the story gets mysterious. There are huge amounts of phenomenal sci-fi films, a significant number of which have "star" in the title, yet the thing about E.T. gets it the top spot is that it's cherished by everybody who watches it. That can't be said of all sci-fi motion pictures. The same number of them have specialty crowds, while E.T. doesn't. Romance, Casablanca, 1942. For those individuals who think Casablanca is exaggerated as the top sentiment film, it might be an ideal opportunity to return and watch it again. The film is an everlasting great. It's one of the most quotable movies at any point made, and it came out about 80 years back. Casablanca is about a romantic tale that hasn't an opportunity in damnation of working out, and just one of the two individuals in affection recognizes that reality. The war is destroying the entirety of Europe and North Africa. However, amidst it, each of a negative American expat runs a bar and pines over the lady he began to look all starry-eyed at during a brief, yet significant tryst in Paris. The story is so very much created and nuanced, it's effectively a contender for being perhaps the best film at any point made. Different motion pictures were competing for this position, including An Affair to Remember, Titanic, Brokeback Mountain, and even Ghost fought it out for the spot. In any case, at long last, it's continually going to be Casablanca. Settling on this decision was troublesome, yet on the off chance that Casablanca didn't make it to the top, I'd think twice about it. Perhaps not today. Possibly not tomorrow, yet soon, and for an incredible remainder. Horror, Psycho, 1960. Like each other classification of film, repulsiveness has a huge amount of subgenres to browse. There are slasher flicks, mental tension motion pictures, and even incredible mysterious motion pictures like The Omen and The Exorcist. At last, the best ghastliness brings to the table goes to a film that characterized the class as one that could ingrain a feeling of dread in the crowd while causing it to appear as though the scoundrel could be anybody. What Anthony Perkins figured out how to do with Norman Bates was to present a sensible scoundrel who could genuinely be your nearby neighbor, or the individual sitting close to you on a transport. Without a doubt, he was insane. He spruced up as his dead mother, who sat preserved in his home, yet that point aside, he was an appealing and alluring youngster. He was somewhat ungainly and appeared to be totally innocuous. So innocuous, you may have a sense of security washing up, regardless of whether it's the exact opposite thing you do. Psycho was splendidly composed, coordinated, and acted. Indeed, even the camera work was probably the best found in a film up to that point in time, and it's anything but difficult to perceive any reason why Psycho is viewed as one of the best anticipation blood and gore films at any point made. Action, Seven Samurai, 1954. There's an adage that impersonation is the most elevated type of honeyed words. On the off chance that is valid in filmmaking, Akira Kurosawa's godlike exemplary, Seven Samurai is one of the most complimented motion pictures at any point made, as its story has been adjusted into such a large number of movies, it's silly. In the event that you've seen Kurosawa's work, you realize that he will generally be perhaps the best executive ever. He put all that he had into his motion pictures, and his work proceeded to motivate any semblance of Kubrick, Scorsese, Tarantino, Lucas, Spielberg, and then some. His movies were epic stories loaded up with innovation and delightful settings that sound valid with the idiom that each casing is a painting. Seven Samurai is a story you've likely observed previously, regardless of whether you've never observed the film. The town is threatened by criminals and recruits on 7R. In to secure them. It's the plot of The Magnificent Seven, The Three Amigos, and A Bug's Life, and it impacted Hollywood movie producers for a considerable length of time. There are a lot of extraordinary activity motion pictures out there, and keeping in mind that the top spot could have gone to an all the more industrially engaging film discharge generally as of late, it's hard to pass this film by as perhaps the best story at any point put to film. adventure, Raiders of the Lost Ark, 1981. Frequently, activity and experience are put together into a solitary classification, however a few motion pictures should be isolated into their own type. Experience is a kind with a ton of alternatives. Poor motion pictures could fall inside experience, yet so could a western or even sci-fi. At last, an extraordinary experience film includes precisely that, an incredible experience, and there's no one better at going on an undertaking than Indiana Jones. In his first film, Raiders of the Lost Ark, Jones goes on a globe-spreading over experience loaded up with Nazis and Jewish archaeological history to discover the Ark of the Covenant. All through the film, this school teacher battles against a plenty of adversaries. He swims to a submarine, which fortunately didn't lower with him on top, and he burrowed through the signs to discover an ancient rarity of such extraordinary significance. It was desired by anybody and everybody who knew about its reality. The film started one of the best experience establishments ever, and keeping in mind that the vast majority of those movies are incredible, the absolute first Indiana Jones film starts to lead the pack as the best experience film at any point made. Fantasy, The Wizard of Oz, 1939. The best dream film ever almost went to The Lord of the Rings, The Return of the King, yet glancing back at all of the fantastic dream films from all through film history, the eternal exemplary, The Wizard of Oz takes the top spot. Like a portion of the contenders in sci-fi, some dream films don't interest a wide crowd. There are individuals out there who don't care for hobbits, mythical beings, or anything identified with Dungeons and Dragons. Other dream motion pictures that could have taken a top spot are those including Muppets like Labyrinth or The Dark Crystal. The Wizard of Oz is one of those motion pictures everybody plunks down to observe at some point or another. Most observe it when they're kids, however every one of that implies is that when those individuals grow up and have children of their own, the film returns out to engage another age while the Guardians watch Dorothy and her buddies with wistfulness. The story components aren't entangled, the melodic numbers are important, and the characters are the caring we recollect affectionately years in the wake of viewing the film. The Wizard of Oz is an ageless exemplary, and in spite of being over 80 years of age, it remains the best dream film at any point made. Musical, Singin In The Rain, 1952. Musicals are an intriguing class of film, as they frequently don't function admirably. What does well in a live venue doesn't generally move on to the cinema, and accordingly, a few people totally love musicals while different people routinely love them. Regardless of this, there have been various melodic movies, which have proceeded to win a huge amount of grants, as they have lovely tunes, and common characters, and toward the day's end, an acceptable film is a decent film whether individuals are singing immediately or not. The decision for the best melodic arrived on Singin In The Rain, however it similarly as almost went to The Sound of Music. The two movies are stupendous legends, which wonderfully grandstand and fathomable tunes belted out by probably the most capable individuals in the business. At last, Singin In The Rain got everyone's attention essentially on the grounds that it includes some stunning exhibitions and a cheerful story. The opposition includes a darker story, and it's difficult to watch Singin In The Rain and not feel blissful while the other film will in general lead the crowd in different ways. Animation, Toy Story, 1995. Vilified movies can envelop any class, yet that doesn't mean there's not a solitary film equipped for accepting a top spot as the best enlivened film ever. Activity has been a vehicle for include films since the arrival of 1937's Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, and from that point forward, there have been a huge number of extraordinary vilified titles. There are numerous to browse, yet the film that is all around adored by kids and grown-ups the same would need to be 1995's Toy Story. There are a lot of films that could take the top spot here. Motion pictures like The Last Unicorn, The Iron Giant, The Secret of Nim, or any of Hunnard's more. However, Toy Story accomplished something most vilified films neglected to do before it. It consummately overcame any barrier among grown-ups and kids. By including the entirety of the toys guardians played with when they were kids, the film figured out how to speak to the child in each one of us. Kids cherished it while guardians waxed nostalgic about their tragically deceased Speak and Spell and Slinky. The film is an artful culmination, and keeping in mind that the spin-offs are stunning, the first stands as the best enlivened film at any point made.